could sit here all day and listen to the pages out of our Hosting 101 book, I mean, that is just...
Do they have a Casting 101 book? Is that available to buy as well? Because I'd be
God,
interested.
I need it. I need that. My word. Anyway, yeah, we're going to be getting into this. We've seen one upset today. Custer seems to think that there's a possibility of another one. Josh, you do as well. I seem to think that maybe it was our combined. It was our combined outfits. We kind of we color coordinated and matched today as well, wearing similar colors in terms of our outfits. Maybe that was what pushed Chengdu ahead. Who knows? Let's take a look at the Atlanta starters. Not even going to give you time to retort. Let's look at the Atlanta starters here, and as we get ready to set up how this game is really going to start getting going.
And I do want to put an emphasis on what Custer was talking about here. The Atlanta Reign and the Dallas Fuel, they're both teams from the West, and they both play a lot of Rhine comps, but they are very different in terms of what they do alternately outside of that. If you push the Dallas Fuel away from Rhine, they're going to go Winston. They're going to go dive. If you push the Atlanta Reign away from Reinhardt, they're going to go to Orisa. They've basically only played Rhine and Orisa comps this entire time. And so that creates a very different dynamic in terms of how the Atlanta Reign are going to try and deal with the APAC meta. And I'm not holding out too much hope. I think, I said there was like a 30-35% chance for Chengdu. It ended up being way better. For Atlanta, I'm thinking more like 20-25. The Shanghai Dragons are overwhelming favorites here.
Yes, let's take a look at the Shanghai Dragons starters and talking about like the odds of them winning this match as well. It's the one thing they've got going for them is that the Shanghai Dragons really haven't been tested that much. I think statistically, these guys, when it comes to their team fight win percentage, they're skyrocketing above a lot of the other dominant teams, and partly it's because they've been arguably playing against weaker opponents across the board. Now, I'm not trying to make the claim that APAC is the weaker region. I think, if anything, if Shanghai Dragons end up taking this series, they will have proven that the majority of us were underestimating APAC, I think, coming into this. But this is an interesting thing to look at as well. I think it's the one thing that, obviously, the Atlanta Reign are going to be trying to hold kind of coming into this series against the Shanghai Dragons, this dominant team that's just come off the back of winning the last tournament cycle.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They are the defending June Joust champions. They were playing Wrecking Ball during that. Wrecking Ball has become even more the meta, and Shanghai have looked even better as a result of that. I mean, there aren't that many great teams over in the APAC region, but there are still a scattering of them, right? Especially you're looking at Seoul and Chengdu as being the teams in the most recent event to challenge the Shanghai Dragons. But like you said, Shanghai, across the Summer Showdown qualifiers, had a team fight win rate of 60%. The next highest across the league is the Dallas Fuel at 53%. Dallas Fuel are higher than average, right, when it comes to their team fight win rate. Shanghai are that much higher than the second best again. So Shanghai are statistically dominating the league in these qualifiers. But as Custer said, they haven't come up against Orisa comps just yet.
Yeah, and that's what the Atlanta Reign have really got going for them, I guess. We're heading over to Nepal as our first map that we're going to be seeing the action really take place on. This is, of course, going to be Shanghai Dragons map pick, as they were the highest seed coming into this one here.
Now, I will say, Trent, even though the Shanghai Dragons have not played against Orisa, Fate has run Orisa himself a couple of times in the Summer Showdown qualifiers, one of which being on Nepal. When you play on Sanctum and it's much closer quarters, they were trying to get value out of the Orisa and the Lucio there. So even though Shanghai haven't played against it very much, I think they pretty much still understand how the win conditions work. But Atlanta Reign starting out playing some Rhine, some good old-fashioned, honest Rhine Sim Lucio rush.
Very honest composition, isn't it, Josh? Yeah. No Sombra being played at the moment, at least. And yeah, they're going to be running the Symmetra on top of it as well, so they're going to be able to get early positioning. And it looks like they're going to be trying to take the team fight up close, right up top.
We have not seen this.
Is going to be used. Yeah, the Flood of Fire as well.
Obviously, we were expecting Jinmu to pull it out a bunch of times, but Fleda is just as good.
Yeah. Quick little 2 rockets right there onto Iris. They're going to get the res off onto Fade as well, so that early pick completely taken out. And now the Atlanta Reign just trying to hold positioning. This is where they can really excel, is by holding this composition in here, but they have to try and pressure off Fleda, who's obviously going to keep shredding in these rockets. The point control, flipping over to them. They're going to gain control of it now, but they need to be careful of always, at all times, this rocket that's coming in from Fleder. The damage boost applied, that's going to be the D-Mech, and they're getting the picks easily enough.
For Atlanta Reign, it becomes very difficult to deal with this Pharah because the people who are in position to try and put damage there are Hawk and Iris. And when you're playing around the objective, when you're playing on Village, inside this point, you don't have very good sightlines on the Pharah that just keeps dipping down to fire rockets at you. It's almost impossible to get the punish properly. So the Atlanta Reign perhaps looking towards Edison rather than Hawk and Iris to go for aggressive pushes onto Izayaki and ignore the Pharah.
And this is going to be a difficult one for the Atlanta Reign to try and push into. Teleport's going to be used, but not really too much gain from it, actually. An early Immortality Field used, and now they're not going to be having that to eat up the damage, but the kill comes through anyway. Shanghai Dragons investing into this fight to just really close it out. That's the Primal Rage of Fate going to be expended there. Obviously had the damage boost on top of him as well, and they bought space for Fleder to get rezzed.
Yeah, that was great. Good EMP coming out from Lip there. Gives him all of the room that the rest of the Shanghai Dragons needs to be able to clean this up. And that teleport was the most crucial part of that. We didn't actually see how it got broken, but Edison set up a TP for the Atlanta Reign to move to the high ground, and it just got destroyed within half a second.
Instantly.
So Shanghai were really set up to be able to deal with that. And as long as you can preempt where the teleporters go, it takes out a big win condition for the Atlanta Reign.
You see how they're struggling, despite the ults that the Atlanta Reign have. Okay, now the teleport's going to be used on the high ground. This time Shanghai giving them a lot of respect. Sleep off onto the side. And Izayaki caught, taken out. Still even though as well. Fleder's still in this fight. And with the damage boost with rockets, Edison goes down. They just go and has the Valkyrie. In fact, nobody's there to deny the resurrect. Atlanta Reign just want to stay grouped up, clumped up. That is an Earth Shatter. 2 players down, Fleder and Lip. And Fleder obviously going to be paying the price as a result of it. Charged, that's a rare kill feed icon that you see there, the charge kill onto the Pharah, but every now and then it will come out. Still the fight continuing as the soundbar is expended, but Massa going down regardless. Just when you think it was looking good for the Atlanta Reign, Shanghai Dragons coming back in with a bit of fury, a bit of bite to it.
The Atlanta Reign, though, have stayed in control of the objective. 50% ticking up for them. And they managed to clean up these final little pieces that are lying around from Shanghai. Shanghai are scrapping. They want to play outside of the objective. So they're not going to go for full team fight resets.
Oh, and Edison, he tried to chase down the target Lip that he was looking for, but it just made him open him up to the damage boosted rockets again. Fleder just going to be hammering them home off into the side. Coalescence from Iris just to try and heal up their team and lead it in for them. Fade going to be used as well as they try and contest onto the point, but they're not getting any pickups off of it. That's Shanghai flipping it over, 80% now and counting. They have control of the point and ultimates to boot.
So many ultimates here. The Shanghai Dragons have everything they need to do to be able to win, and Lip is scouting them to see where they're pushing. For Atlanta, they need a teleport and to kill Izayaki immediately. Nothing else is going to be able to suffice. And a hack onto Hawk already, that's going to give Fleder a massive opportunity for a barrage.
And the teleport got destroyed. A couple of the players in the Atlanta Reign didn't manage to get in. The barrage just committed in the end. The symbol just about comes up, but it's too little too late. The picks have already gone the way of the Shanghai Dragons. Self-destruct up into the air means nothing because the point of the round already in the hands of the Shanghai Dragons. An early lead for them as well into this series, and a showcase, I think, that they are really prepared, I think, for a variety of compositions that might come their way.
And I want to point out to the fans at home that even though the APAC region with Chengdu has been playing a lot of Pharah Sombra, it's not something we've seen from Shanghai, really. Fleder ran Pharah once to try and defend on Anubis, and he just fed immediately, and they gave up on it. I believe that was against the Hangzhou Spark. Other than that, they've mostly been sticking to their classic of the Sombra Tracer. But here they are just trying to get early into the heads of Atlanta and prove to them that Atlanta cannot run these Reinhardt compositions. Dallas didn't even bother trying against Chengdu. At least Atlanta are giving it a shot. But now they've moved over to double shield, and this is more so what we were wondering about. Does this comp, and I mean this is a weird comp, does this provide the answer?
Oh, you know, you think with the double shields they have so much to eat up, these rockets coming their way, but it matters not. Fleder finds him in all these little crevices, just able to work his way in, slam in the rockets as well, and the damage is just too much. Already the team fight win. It's done and dusted for Shanghai here. They're able to get a couple of traded kills as well. The tank line of the Shanghai Dragons taken out. The res committed onto Void just to get him back into the action. They know Fate's going to be able to get back easily on the Wrecking Ball. And now we see some swaps here from the Atlanta Reign.
Atlanta only have to swap 3 of their players to go from playing double shield to a full hardcore dive comp. And now this is going to give them the pace and the mobility to avoid Fleder and to play faster than he can get value. In theory, Izzyaki is their target.
Oh, the pressure that's being applied. Yeah, and that is quite a nice opening for them. And despite Lip getting hacked up, has built up this EMP now as it fades away. Was that the EMP committed? Yes, only onto Hawk. Bit of a one-man coming out, but a neutral hack comes out. That's going to be the tanks removed. Now the power drive around the corner. Shanghai still in control of the point. Hawk able to get back into the mech though, but the pulse bomb ate up Void, doing his darndest to mitigate a lot of this impact coming their way. I think that was another hack onto Edison. No recall, no blinks available. Easy pickings for them, and look at Lip just farming up the damage.
He's devastatingly good. He farms these EMPs so quickly. His manual hacks are the best in the game, and his EMPs are so focused. He doesn't go for the enormous 6-man EMPs, and it's gotten criticism in the community before, because people don't quite understand his focus, his goal with them. But when you have players like Fleder, like Fate, who can follow up on 1, 2-man EMPs so accurately, why would you need any more than that? One pick is good enough in the game of Overwatch.
Group up with me.
You can see them just trying to pop around. They know it's coming, but it doesn't matter. Lip was waiting. And the EMP, of course, it was good, but it's going to be the 1-for-1. This time, Lee J gone. Hawk has to eat up this damage, but he ends up getting demeched in the process. The heals from Izzyaki there, just keeping him up throughout the entirety of the barrage. It's a miracle almost. Still in the fight. The self-destruct used by Void just so we can get back into the mech. Wasn't the best ultimate, but it matters not because they still want to continue to fight this. With Hawk being demech, Gator forced to use that Primal Rage as he fell very low. The overtime now ticking. Mines on the point means, though, that the Atlanta Reign can't really play too much of the objective. Gator is hunting for it, doesn't have the leap ready and waiting, jumps, but I don't know if he even got that health pack. 62 health, has to back off around the corner. The Atlanta Reign could commit ults, in fact they're going to have to right now to stay into it. Coalescence comes through, that's Fleder removed. Lee J gone though with the blaster. That was Gator removed a little bit earlier, and despite the early advantages that the Atlanta Reign have got, Shanghai still hanging on.
They want to go for this. Both teams using support ultimates here. A nano boost on the Void, and Massa responds. Yeah, Rez, he's bringing them back. The Shanghai Dragons are definitely still in this fight.
And Void just lets the self-destruct rip right there. The positioning forced all into the corner. The Atlanta Reign have to just touch this point. Gator so low, the imp catches. It's beautiful. 3 targets, but that's all they need at the end of the day. Lee J gone whipping out the blaster again. Oh my goodness. A doctor in trying times just whipping it out sometimes to defend themselves, and that is going to be it. The Shanghai Dragons taking map number 1 in a rather dominant fashion. Just the 2 rounds back to back, an answer for seemingly everything.
Yeah, it did not matter what the Atlanta Reign threw at them there. Tried Rhine comps, tried some double shield. They even tried the Sombra Tracer towards the end on a variety of different tank compositions. Shanghai were indomitable. And it's not like Shanghai really adjusted too much. They just played their game. The Sombra, the Pharah, like I said, it's not even their usual game. And it was still enough to be able to deal easily, handily with the Atlanta Reign.
Outstanding stuff, honestly, and what we kind of expected from it. We're going to go to a short break, and of course, when we return, we're going to see what the Atlanta Reign has up their sleeves to try and deal with the dominant force that is the Shanghai Dragons. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. You know you don't want to miss it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back from the break, everybody, and yeah, let's take a look at the Indeed player resume. This time, Lip as the individual. Definitely a focal point for the Shanghai Dragons in terms of how successful they are. And you mentioned earlier, Josh, as well, in terms of, you know, his EMPs are sometimes mocked in the community. He gets a lot of these one-man EMPs, sometimes missing them. But in terms of his effectiveness on the Sombra, I mean, the guy just builds them up so quickly, and they're so precise sometimes as well, that he's just one of the best players in the world to watch when it comes to that role.
I mean, he is the best Sombra in the world, and he has been since the beginning of 2020. In my opinion, there's no argument. He's just been putting up that kind of performance since Sombra has been played in recent times. So, yeah, Lip's a fantastic part of why the Shanghai Dragons are so successful. And it's not just his Sombra, obviously. Back in the main melee, we're sort of being able to pick up the Tracer as well and have huge performances on that. He's been amazing on Ashe and other types of long-range hit scans. So the guy is a beast and a really important part of how this Dragons machine works. Gonna head over to Hanamura though, Brett. And like we said in the Dallas Chengdu series, map picks are so important. In my opinion, the Shanghai Dragons have looked a little shaky when it comes to assault maps. I don't think it's their best type. It's a little bit like trying to catch the Dallas Fuel on escort maps. They're still good domestically within their region, but against the best in the world, I think it's an opportunity for Atlanta to go for a quick response. But they're going to have to play way better than they did on map 1.
They really are. And we'll see what they're able to do on Hanamura as we start to load in as well. Josh, in terms of the compositions that we've seen thus far, when we saw the Atlanta Rain kind of tease, I suppose, like the double shield a little bit here, but what do you think is an effective response, I suppose, to the Shanghai Dragons? If what we're seeing on the defense right now, okay, going to be running this thing, which we do see sometimes, the kind of lone Orisa, which is playing kind of as an anchor.
Yeah, they've actually been running this quite a lot. So the Shanghai Dragons, even though they ran like 80% ball across the Summer Showdown qualifiers and 72% Zen, they do occasionally flex over to play the Orisa comps themselves. That's what I brought up at the very beginning of this match. And so what we've seen previously from them on Hanamura is them playing a range of stuff. They even tried some Rhine Symmetra, very, very rare occurrence against the Hangzhou Spark. But this, again, is going to put pressure on the Atlanta Rain. And specifically Hawk, I think he needs to be able to deal with Fleder. Kai is not in. You don't have your long-range hit scan player for the Atlanta Rain. So you need your D.Va and Iris to be able to put enormous pressure onto Fleder and stop his Pharah from finding value.
Looking at them raring to go here. Gator was taking a quick pause there, but yeah. Let's see what they can do now. Running double shield, trying to get through this choke point can be quite difficult. See Pelican running the Echo, which is also going to be pocketed. Should have an advantage theoretically when it comes to this 1v1. Echo can deal with the Pharah from time to time. That's a big Bionade from Izayaki from afar though. It forces out the Immortality field. The Atlanta Rain not going to have that cooldown in the upcoming fight. The hold doesn't connect either. They were trying to coordinate it up with a couple of rockets coming their way. Important news, I suppose, for the Atlanta Rain here is that they have managed to work one player into the back, but as that was happening, Hawk pressured out in the front line.
And you can see here that the Echo makes theoretical sense, but Pelican can't close the gap very easily. If Pelican just tries to fight 2v6 against the entirety of Shanghai, then it doesn't matter that he's playing what the community has dubbed to be better Pharah. It doesn't matter that he's playing Echo. He's still going to get destroyed because you've got Lip looking at you, Fate trying to pull you, do damage to you, Void pressuring you. So it's on the rest of the Atlanta Rain to create a pincer attack. Pelican and Massa can do everything they like to be able to get in around and take a little bit of Fleder's attention, but the tank line for Atlanta also needs to get involved. Pelican can't do this on his own. Even he isn't that good on Echo.
You see Hawks made the switch as well over to the D.Va as well.
I think that's a good swap.
Yeah, better eat up the damage as well from Fleder here. The Amp Matrix dropped down. The window is going to be layering up the damage, of course. Pumping it through, seeing if they can get a couple of shots. Fleder just making sure that he plays quite conservative here. Falls quite low, has to back off, but now going to be getting the heals. It does give Atlanta a window. Duplicate also, double Orisa on the battlefield. Herd of cattle rolling through the grounds of Hanamura. But with the barrage utilized, that's going to be the duplicate removed and the supercharger taken out. Bob doing a decent amount of work, but didn't end up touching the point to pull any of them back.
They still have a player advantage here, though, the Atlanta Reign. If they regroup and repush, they have a supercharger and no diva on the other side. Pelican should have way more freedom, but he's been taken down. I believe that was a halt in the middle of the air, and Izayaki finishes off the kill.
That's ridiculous. I think Izayaki may have also been damage boosted in the middle of that as well, just for the assist on top. Supercharger with the damage boost, unbelievable value. And they're playing it right up close in front of them here.
They've fought enough time for Void to come back.
A couple of these halts, yeah. Somehow turning that fight completely around on his head off the back of just using those ultimates. Fleda playing so aggressively as well, and Void is still deep.
Yeah, well, now Pelican has moved away from the Echo, so Fleda has no worries. It's not like he was close to a duplicate at all, but this has got to be the push for the Atlanta Reign on the back of Gator's supercharger, which is almost dead.
Gator's supercharger does go down. Void almost getting demech there when he was behind enemy lines. Bob going to be used here. Lip just trying to relocate, regroup himself, I suppose, onto the other side of the point. You need to respect his amplification matrix, but holy, self-destruct over the top, doesn't quite get him, but this time Massa whipping out the blaster, takes out Lee J, gone in the 1v1. The res going to be used as well. Gator's back in the fight. It is chaos right here, right now at the gates of Hanamura. Still the Atlanta Rangers trying to fight and battle it out. The Holt into the back, Fate still trying to stay alive, has to use that Fortify in the meanwhile. Hawk sleeping on the job as well, and it's bought them a small window, a small opportunity as Pelican goes down.
The Atlanta Reign, though, they're bursting through. They're going to be able to get position onto the point, get Edison in a good position. He has Bob as well, they can continue to harass the objective. But Izayaki's taking this wide flanking angle around. He's going to be able to still deliver heals to the rest of his team. Feels like Izayaki needs to be shut down right now.
Face off to the side, the Matrix onto the point, Edison so low, that's the immortality field that has to be used. A quick little whiff there onto the dynamite, but the beatdown eventually does it. Going to be taking Void out of the mech, so close to trying to cap this one up. Pelican just trying to hunt down that supercharger just to ensure that they have no chance of trying to convert this one, but they still try and take the fight. Macedo hunting down Lip right round the corner. Fludder still alive, but he's only one person. What can he do at the end of the day? Not much is the answer. Eventually, the Atlanta Reign going to be capping up that first checkpoint. They're going to be getting 3 minutes now. And Hawk just operating as like, okay, well, I guess I might wait for the mech. Or, okay, if I can get a bit of passive damage, maybe. Guys, can I get my mech back, please?
But there's no snowball potential whatsoever here. Not just because Hawk, but because of the whole team comp switch that Atlanta Reign had to undergo in order to clutch that one and wrestle it away from the Shanghai Dragons. I do want to give props to Pelican, though. In the middle of that team fight, he does go and kills Izayaki, which stops the nano boost and the healing from being a big impact and allows the fight to turn the way of the Atlanta Reign. I think he also took out the supercharger in the middle of that, too. So now Atlanta, they take almost a full minute here to decide what composition they want to play, and it's back to the Rhine. Letters Farah just getting disrespected here a little bit. Moving Edison to McCree in an attempt to deal with it. Hanamura B is an awkward position to play Farah, though. There aren't that many great sidelines, and the ceiling is pretty low, all things considered.
And Fleda is a little bit out of place here. The Nanoboost has to be committed just to keep him alive. He wants to go deep with this, though. He wants to get value. And the healers are going to come through anyway as his team tries their best to try and support him. Pushing forwards, the rocket's still going in, and this Reinhardt shield, Gator struggling to really keep it up and protect his team. Doing a good job of trading in between the shield and the defense matrix to soak up a ton of the damage, but still, now we're left to a minute 30 on the clock. And the Atlanta Reign still have yet to really get a wholehearted push in. Ultimate's online though, Josh, to make it happen now.
Hawk's self-destruct could be crucial here in stopping Fleda, but it's just, I mean, that is just not enough. They were caught completely unaware there. Beautiful positioning from Fleda to catch two in the middle of that before Hawk could even react. There's no amp matrix there. Sorry, defense matrix.
The amp matrix did go out though as well, and maybe that was just the cue that Fleda used. He knew that once that ult was down, they weren't really going to be focusing on that. They wanted to get damage done through the window to try and win the team fight. Impeccable.
Look at their positioning. Look how aggressive they are. Legion and Fleda just roaming towards the enemy spawn. And Pelican has swapped Sombra with 60 seconds remaining. The best Sombras in the world can just about get one EMP before overtime. But with these comps, it doesn't seem likely.
Exactly. What target are you even farming your EMP off of? 30 seconds remaining. We've only really seen the one attempt. Self-destruct comes up over the corner, over the side, through the map, and it gives them a bit of space now. The Atlanta Reign press forwards off of it, but Shanghai Dragons, an instant response from them. They try and collect and isolate a couple of the members of the Atlanta Reign that may have been locked out of place here. Sound barrier from Massa, it's not even enough. The damage is done. Fate with the supercharger, the damage boost being supplied by Lee Jae-gon, they just eviscerate them.
Yeah, turn to mulch. Pelican only at 60% of his EMP, and this is not really a competitive map thus far. The Shanghai Dragons have showed Atlanta Reign that they are the dominant Orisa team here. You can try and mirror us if you like, but we're still gonna clap you.
And this is the narrative that we're going to be running with, I think, over the course of this tournament cycle for the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown Tournament. The APAC teams just forcing the Western teams to adapt over the course of the series. And yeah, it's these interesting compositions that, I mean, we've seen before. We're no stranger to it, except the Farah that Fled has been pulling out. That is quite a new look as well. But it definitely forces the Atlanta Reign to kind of adjust, I suppose. A lot of the preparation that was coming into this match was probably not anticipating it.
Yeah, and think about what the adjustments are. For Shanghai, it's one player's hero that has to be changed. Fleda just goes, okay, well, yeah, I guess I'll just play a bit of Farah. I'm good at Farah. I've played it in the past. I've even played a tiny amount of it this qualifier so far. Whereas the Atlanta Reign have to fundamentally change their comps, the way they all play, the roles they have, how they coordinate.
And it takes time.
Unless they just go for the straight-up mirror. I mean, it does seem like Atlanta Reign need to lean into the Orisa Diva kind of comps. But right now, Hawk is having an uncharacteristically poor match.
Oh my god. That is disgusting.
Just brutalized. Yeah, it's just slicing Atlanta Reign in two as well. From the spawn, the Shanghai Dragons players are finding all of these opportunities to disrupt what Atlanta are going through.
And you go back and you see how much time the Atlanta Reign had to work with as well. All of it whittled down from them deciding how to adapt and how to play against what Shanghai are running. This time, the Shanghai Dragons are the ones on the attack, and they only have to get one tick on checkpoint B. Maybe getting ahead of myself here, but they're already through the checkpoint. Trying to set up positionings right now for the Shanghai Dragons to engage on one player.
The Shanghai Dragons are the best balls end team in the league right now. And part of what makes them excellent at it is that they take space very early on. They spread out, they're all around you. They're left, they're right, they're center, and then they ambush you when you least expect it.
And you're left wondering, what could I have done better in that scenario? You're being picked and pulled apart like a pulled pork sandwich. You can't go anywhere. It's so hard to focus down the one target that you need to, because the Shanghai Dragons are everywhere at once, and just like that, checkpoint A opened up.
Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, this opening match for Shanghai, I hate to call it early, Brent. There really are opportunities for Atlanta to come back. But at the moment, what we're witnessing almost feels like a coronation rather than a competition for the Shanghai Dragons. This is brutal. It's absolute domination for them. And they're coming in with almost a 6-minute time bank and an EMP to work with. Atlanta move over to the Tor. They bunker in like no team has ever bunkered before.
I do like the turret position the Pelicans offering. It's quite cheeky. Might be stealing that one for my ranked games. Off onto the side, but taken out. Dynamite's going to connect. But the trouble is the Shanghai Dragons have so much. Okay, that was interesting. Fleda must not have had access to the half packs. Or the recall.
I'd like to see what Lip is going. Oh, okay, that's brutal.
Where?
Just, I don't know, some tiny angle.
And now the EMP's committed. That's the only opening that they needed right there. Izayaki finding that one pick, and they're going to jump on it. Bob onto the point, but hacked up straight away. Lip had that ready and waiting, right in his back pocket. The ultimate just taken out. They can focus their attention right now on the choke point, as that self-destruct is let loose. Bob finally left the premises, and now the point's going to start to get played. Big power driver off to the side, the amp matrix, and that's going to be the self-destruct stopped in its tracks. A cheeky play by Massa, but the bomb still gets value. Pelican's gone down anyway.
That is
so
ridiculous.
Much pressure that's being applied to them right now in the back lines. Immortality Field just off onto the corner, but it doesn't catch onto Gator. He's taken out, or perhaps the Immortality Field was first. It matters not at the end of the day. The Molten Core is a last-ditch effort now for the Atlanta Reign to try and hold on to this, but they're falling so low. And with the mines scattered across the point, so do the hopes and dreams of them taking this map. The Shanghai Dragons walking away with it, and that's going to be 2-0, leading early in this series.
And Bren, I said that Shanghai had looked a little shaky on assault. There were no shreds of that there. Not a moment of hesitation, no inkling of a weakness. Domestically, they have been challenged on Anubis, on Hanamura a little bit. It's felt like Volsky was the only place they were truly safe. But here and now, against the Atlanta Reign, they are dominant. 2-0 in the series already.
A ridiculous start, I think, for the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown Tournament. We're going to go to a short break, and on the other side of things, we're going to give time for the Atlanta Reign to see if they can think over anything to try and combat what the Shanghai Dragons are throwing at them. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. You know you don't want to miss it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
We got a whole new season on our hands, a whole new tournament.
Expect the unexpected. It never happens as it should.
It's something in the contenders' water, but this shows you how close in skill a lot of these teams are. It's absolutely insane. The pole slam dunk on the Surmajet, he's gone. Dynasty, what a way to secure the bag.
Shockwave's turning around?
Wow.
Where did Shockwave find those 2 kills to take out the supports of Hurricane?
Speedly popping up. Why is this the Speedly show every time we see this pick from Speedly? The Echo and then getting enabled by OG. It's actually insane. But his shield is broken.
Oh,
he does the jump around the corner with the shatter, and they couldn't even use Transcendence. Here comes Eyes with a Deadeye, finds 2 again. Constantly finding these picks.
This is hit scan pop off territory. Ice is in his element.
Jakaru comes rolling through to find a third as he takes out both the supports. One more for him, that's 4K! But Jakaru against the British Hurricane.
But look at how British Hurricane's gonna try to win those fights.
Just like that! Poco going a little loco here, finding 5.
Poco just caught health completely off guard.
Cloudy charges it to Adam.
The LKO out of nowhere.
Johnny on the 3rd time as well!
Johnny is a Lucio to be reckoned with.
Twirls more energy, they're grabbing the high ground so they can't touch!
Twos. What a huge brain on this lad.
Someone needs to clip the wings of this Spara.
People could say that they saw this coming. There's no shot you saw it happening the way that it did.
That was just history we watched right there.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles. Stay in the game. And by NetApp, the official data management partner of the Overwatch League.
Just like summer, the competition is heating up. The ancient deity Haroeris has landed just in time to celebrate the Summer Showdown Tournament, so get this legendary skin before July 19th for just 200 League tokens. Your last chance, make sure you snap it up now. And speaking of snapping it up, that's exactly what Shanghai Dragons are trying to do this series. Currently leading 2-0. And take a look at our power rankings here with IBM Watson. The two off-tanks battling it out, going head-to-head in this series, and also neck and neck when it comes to our power rankings with IBM Watson.
Well, you can clearly see that Hawk has been getting better and better over the course of the season, starting out, you know, relatively weak with the Atlanta Reign not doing so well, and then throughout the June Joust and now in the Summer Showdown qualifiers, he has been a top-tier off-tank. In this match, though, he is getting bullied, brutalized. The Shanghai Dragons know that Hawk is the key to trying to shut down Fleder's Farah, and they are making his life hell. They're putting pressure on him, they're stunning him, they're hacking him. And Hawk doesn't know where to turn. It's one of the real weak matches that I've seen so far come out. And it's not all his fault. He has a lot of things on his plate to deal with. And the Shanghai Dragons are just, they're laughing away. They're having a ball. Yeah. They know that they're firmly in control of this match.
This is really, really where teams are tested and pushed to their limits. When you're so down in the series and you have to come up with the answers to what's in front of you in such a short amount of time. Your preparation partly going to be thrown out the window because, you know, clearly whatever you had prepped for Shanghai Dragons hasn't ended up working. Kings Row is going to be the map we're heading to. Of course, there's going to be the Atlanta Reign's pick. They feel like this is going to be giving them their best chances. And yeah, it's... Go ahead, Josh. I can hear you.
I think this is going to be more of the same. I think it's more of the same. The Atlanta Reign are going to try and play what's been working in the West. And take a look at the map leaderboard presented by Xfinity, because these are the times that the Shanghai Dragons are going to have to try and beat if they want to get up there. It feels like one of these kind of matches, Brent. It feels like a speed run. I said earlier, it feels like a coronation. We're not quite there yet, obviously. We'd have to wait till the grand finals for that. But the APAC region, we were talking about it on Pod Chat as well. It just feels like the meta for them. They've been talked about all season long as being the slightly weaker region. There is a top level in North America, in the Western region, that are very fiercely competitive up there. And they've done, you know, the North American region has done better overall when it comes to the May Melee and the June Joust. But the Summer Showdown, it really does feel this is where things tip in favor of APAC, and especially in favor of the Dragons. Defending that title that they won in the June Joust feels like it's on the right track at the very least.
Oh yeah, they're going for the any % completion. You know, summer games done quick just finished, so you know, trying to
Summer Showdown games done quick.
Exactly, the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown Tournament speed run. That's what Shanghai are going for. And
like
yeah, they may be on track to do it here. All eyes on the Atlanta Reign to try and answer so far, and they're going to be starting on the defense. Double shield is what they're opting for. That's going to be the concussion off the back. That's forced so many of them to the low ground.
Yeah, and that's so predictable. That is what a Farah will do every single time, and yet they weren't ready for it. The Atlanta Reign just look like they're not quite prepped for everything that Fleder is going to throw at them. And this is quite aggressive from Shanghai. Again, another comp that you would expect to see coming out from Chengdu, perhaps, with the Hangzhou and with the Farah. But Shanghai are just as comfortable running them.
Oh, and Gate has been pushed forwards to fortify a little bit too late there. Edison in the back line has to get something done. The Immortality Field just trying to save him. Fleder halted. The Accretion missing, but he has the Concussion Blast just to get him out of range. Edison finding the headshots. Lip goes down there, and a nice halt from Gator, pushing forwards. It was looking dicey. It was looking hairy, but are just about holding on.
Interesting as well that they haven't decided to sub in Kai, who would normally be their long-range hit scan, their McCree god that they have over on the Atlanta Reign. But it falls on Edison's shoulders. He's doing a good job so far, and Lip has not been able to generate very much damage. He's basically just going for shield poke. They want to get rid of Gator and Hawk shields early in the fight.
Turrets removed early. Fleder's just really uncontested here. Another concussion just comes through. That's the tanks just being squeezed into these awkward, unfortunate angles.
Nano Barrage.
And that's the Barrage ready and waiting with the Nano Boost. Comboed up. And that is, that is just clinical, isn't it? Fleder takes himself out at the end of the day, but the job is done. The battle is won. That's going to be the team fight opening up checkpoint A.
And they're so smart. It's the same kind of thing that the Chengdu Hunters were doing against Dallas. They pin them back towards the hotel, towards the arch, but then Fleder is poking Hawk. They land a sleep dart. They force out the kinetic grasp, crucially, too, and get the shield really weak, and that's their opportunity to push. Shanghai, they put in the prep work for every team fight.
Fleder is working magically within his fuel consumption, just gliding off of these rooftops. He's completely out of line of sight up here. And this is so difficult for the Atlanta Rain to deal with. What a concussion blast, just about misses. Hawk has to use the grass to stop eating so much of this damage. Edison just trying to keep one eye on to Fleder, but at the end of the day, he's already found the picks. Backs off into the corner here. The mine's really just pushing apart the Atlanta Rain into two different parts. It ends up going down, but a power driver kill onto Edison, and no one's really dealing with anybody here. Shanghai Dragons just having a
That was quite cool from
day.
Massa. He went for a he went for a bash that bounced off the payload to get him within range of attacking Fleder with the flail. I don't know if I've ever seen Brig used to attempt to counter a Farah before, but Massa's doing all he can. It's a team effort after all. You gotta carry whatever burden you can.
Certainly do. Right now, Fate is in their spawn. I mean, they haven't even capped yet, but the fact that Fate's behind here, again, just draws attention away. Attention is a resource, and right now, Shanghai have got all of it. Supercharge is going to be used, leading it in. That's the barrage, though, right into the backline, cancelled out of it. And that's a window of opportunity for them, but it matters not. The space has already been created and capitalized off of Lip with 3 kills. Oh my goodness, Massa needs to be careful. Has to play around his shield still. That's going to be the res up online. Arrows coming down. Edison has to try and deal with Lip, but look at the healing that they're pumping into him.
Yeah, that's another great team fight from the Shanghai Dragons. That was into a supercharger as well, by the way. And Fleder just powers forwards, surging across and above it, creating so much space for the rest of his team and for Lip. Can you guys remember what the times were on our Xfinity map leaderboard? Because they could be relevant.
It was 4:30,
oh,
roughly, give or take, so just out.
It's already been done.
It's already been done.
It feels like a speed run, though.
It certainly does. It certainly does. They're showing no remorse, Joss. No remorse at all. Shield's gone from Gator. He's just going to have to swing away. Luckily, he's got the help of his team, and now they want to jump on Void. And Matrix down. And that has forced Shanghai back. They finally stopped this bleeding, but the way Shanghai are playing, they're just waiting to just find opportunities to dive back in again. Izzyaki falling, that should at least force the Shanghai Dragons now to respect them, surely.
Yeah, I will say now does seem the right time for Shanghai to make a composition swap. I think Fleder's Farah is going to find it difficult to be able to approach, and it's very hard to play the map architecture as well. They might go for one more nano barrage, but I think even that might be time wasted. It would be better, in my opinion, to go over to some kind of Sombra Tracer comp here. Atlanta Rain looks like they want to be the aggressors and push into this.
Holy moly, the tanks are just being brutalized. Fate, though, off onto the side. EJ Gong is going to go for that res. He knows he's not going to be denied. Self-destruct over the top with the barrage. Nano boost on top of it. Another team fight win for them. I feel like a broken record.
I mean, that was great, though. I was saying it was going to be difficult for Fleder to approach. Well, they didn't lead with Fleder being the tip of the spear. Instead, they had the self-destruct create room for Lee Jae-gon to get a res, and that kind of drew the whole of Atlanta Rain back and made space for Fleder. This team is so coordinated. The Shanghai Dragons have not dropped a beat since winning the June Joust.
Bob almost online. The Shatter comes down. That's both the tanks laid down onto the ground, but Fate and Void are still alive, still kicking. In fact, Fate has the mines. Bob taken out immediately. That was the Amp Matrix used in response of it, just to remove it and push the Shanghai Dragons off and away for just a moment. Self-destruct has to be used when Massa falls, because they need a way to just push the Shanghai Dragons back again. But they are unrelenting already. Fate just diving into the backline, up and over them. Or just, again, it's so difficult for them to deal with. Power Driver into the mines is not going to be rewarded with a kill, but it does split apart the tanks enough for Fleder to get the kill.
They've isolated Pelican in the middle of his ice block too. Blizzard forced out. I mean, there's no one to capitalize on this whatsoever. And the Shanghai Dragons, they force it through. Even though Atlanta had multiple parts where you're saying, okay, they look like they're winning the team fight. They look like they're on the back foot. Shanghai are one of those elite level teams that always find the opportunity to go for a micro disengage and then push straight back in if you open them the tiniest of windows.
It's the markings of a great team. I mean, we've seen many teams in the past kind of play and operate on that same level. This time, it's the era of the Shanghai Dragons, a team with
Brent, do you want to talk about the era of the Shanghai Dragons? This franchise has been the worst in all sports history. The 42-match losing streak. This franchise has also won 4 stage titles, the most of any franchise in the entirety of the Overwatch League, more than the dominant San Francisco Shock. Now, if you, having said that, if you count the championships, the literal winning of the league, then the Shock has 5 titles overall. And the Shanghai Dragons are on their way to getting this 5th as well. Obviously, it's not quite as big as the season accomplishment of the Shock and the dominance they had. But we got to start talking about Shanghai Dragons as being perhaps the second most winningest franchise we have in OWL, after being the worst. It is monumental what they've been able to accomplish.
There's a complete 180. 42-match loss streak into winning the most stage titles. It's
with 2 completely different rosters, by the way, as well. This is not the same one that was doing well in 2019. So, yeah, I think the Shanghai Dragons organization has hit on absolute magic with the players they've got right now.
This is their year. They're here to try and take it away now. The Atlanta Reign on the attacking side, they're going to be operating again with this Reinhardt composition. And Shanghai, with this ball comp, this is what they are best at. Synchronizing up with the Tracer. Nice shot onto Lip, actually takes him out of stealth, but it does give them a small win though, as they're just trying to walk across this high ground here. Speed boosting away, forcing the positioning though. They're just trying to rotate and rotate and rotate. Shanghai perfectly happy to try and deal with the backline though. Look at that, Translocator forced out. They've spotted him. Pelican is in a very dangerous situation.
He is. He's going to get harassed down. They've just left Lip to it. And Lip's back in the fight as well. Pressure onto Iris. The whole of the Atlanta Reign crumbling right now.
Gator.
They're just attacking them from all sides. They're elite. They know exactly what the threats are, where they're coming from. And Fate's surviving with about 15 health in the middle of all of this too. Shutting down every win condition that Atlanta had.
Yeah, the shield bash into the one clips. Fleder just dealing with the opposition. Immortality field gone. Has to use the recall. The way does that post bomb stick? Oh my goodness, the fadeaway into the corner. Fleder is ridiculous.
It's just disgusting. They are spawn camping the Atlanta Reign. I don't know whether any of them are friends with the London Spitfire players, but they're getting a bit of disrespect revenge right now. Atlanta are getting completely outclassed. Now, I will say, Izayaki used his trance in the middle of that fight as well. So this does open a little bit of a window. Lip's EMP could potentially get countered by Massa, but he doesn't have it online yet. And we go back to the spawn once more.
That's 4 players is caught on. In fact, Atlanta Reign are saying not just yet. Ultima's committed the sound barrier to keep them into the fight, but it's into a losing one. They've lost so many players.
They just threw good money after bad there, as ZP and Hex loved to say back in the day. The Atlanta Reign, that's desperation. That's absolute desperation. They'd already lost the team fight. Iris had gone down. That's their main source of healing. You can't make up for that. And Pelican is getting abused. Lip, with coordination with the rest of his team, is dominating this Sombra head-to-head.
Yeah, Sombra diff. Well, team diff, I suppose.
Yeah, a bit of a team diff as well.
Even still, it's absurd. And when you gain this early control, look, he's got control of the health packs. He can play more aggressively in the backline. The Atlanta Reign are just struggling to find a target. As I say that, Fleder's taken out. A rare mistake from him. I believe he had cooldowns available if he wanted to try and escape it, but now the Shanghai Dragons respond. Mines into the back. It forces the Atlanta Reign to play onto the point. Gator, he's desperate to unleash this Earth Shatter. He knows he can find a target easily enough, but the question is, will there be any follow-up? EMP into the back line. That's the support line missing now from the Shanghai Dragons. Eviscerated, taken out of the fight. Gator just swinging away. Pulse bomb, though, from Fleder connects onto Iris. That's a bit of healing removed from the Massa. The only one left standing. They might be turning this. EMP's going to connect, and now Fleder's still alive, just tearing them up.
Absolute destruction from the rest of Shanghai after they lost their backline. It's that perfect micro disengage, and then they just come back in, continuing to poke them all from a distance. Have they overstepped themselves a little? Potentially losing their main tank there, but with only 30 seconds left, the pressure, as ever, is on the Reign.
They're playing forward because Izayaki has Transcendence. They're using it aggressively. The Deadeye from Edison. He just needs to hold it to try and get a pick off, but can you believe that he's playing in this position? It's literally like watching somebody like you, Josh, in my ranked games, always feeding in the front line, but this time Izayaki's good.
He's making it work. He's looking like the best Zenyatta in the league in recent times. I mean, that's the absolute domination of the Atlanta Reign. What do you say about that?
Oh my goodness, GG's in the chat. The Shanghai Dragons have, I mean, they've come out swinging. And I think as well, both the APAC teams making it through to the upper bracket through the first round of games. Definitely a conversation to be had. Averill's definitely thinking right now, oh, well, I told you so. He's been singing the praises of APAC for quite some time.
But this really is their time to shine. APAC coming up to the Summer Showdown, all throughout the Summer Showdown qualifiers and now in the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown Tournament, this is their tournament to win. Even if you can call the Chengdu win over Dallas a bit of an upset result perhaps because expectations weren't there, like I said, the Dragons are the overwhelming favorites for this tournament. It's the first time when we've really thought as a community, as analysts, just as everyone, that there is a clear leader in the race to be able to win this stage title. And you just watched them. You just watched them pummel the Atlanta Reign. It's kind of disgusting what this team is capable of. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than disgusting, man. It's just unethical to show that on the screens. Let's take a look at our player of the match. Presented by Xfinity. We've been singing his name all series long, of course. It's going to be Fleder. Playing the Farah role that, he has played over the course of his career many, many, many times, but maybe was a little bit out of left field in this series. Still, a ridiculously dominant performance. Of course, a lot of this being set up, you can see that he's getting the nano boost, he's getting the damage boost, he's getting the defense matrix. Whatever it needs to succeed, he's got it. This is the Shanghai Dragons diff that we just witnessed in this match.
Yeah, and to be honest, you could have given it to a bunch of people on Shanghai, right? Because this was truly a team diff. But I think the reason that we've given it to Fleder here is because the Farah came out as a direct counter to the Western style in the Summer Showdown. The Western meta, especially the Atlanta style, only playing Rhine and Orisa, and these real bunker compositions. Sometimes with a sim for a bit of mobility, but generally just bunkering down. And Fleder, with a small tweak, picks up a hero that he's played many times before and crushes. 16 final blows per 10. That's the kind of performance that even Jinmu would be proud of. The Eastern region, the APAC region, has always been the home of king Farah players. The Shanghai Dragons had Ding in the past as well, and people like Fleder, Jinmu, all of these players. It's their time to shine. It's their time in the sun right now.
And speaking of time in the sun, Izayaki's going to be coming up after the break as well as our interview, so you're not going to be wanting to miss that. And we'll see you in just a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen, as we check out the desk as well as they're going to be breaking down the matches coming up. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Watchpoint Post Show presented by IBM. We're joined now by Izayaki from Shanghai Dragons. Congratulations on the win today. 이자야키 선수 오늘 승리 너무나 축하드립니다. 안녕하세요.
네, 너무 감사합니다. 안녕하세요. 오랜만에 뵙게 되어서 정말 영광입니다.
Alright, thank you so much, and it's really good to see you again after a long time. It's really good to see you again, Izayaki, and big congratulations. You really popped off. 저도 다시 만나게 돼서 너무나 영광이고요. 오늘 정말 너무 멋있었습니다, 이자야키 선수. 항상 멋있지만은 오늘 특히나 더 너무 잘했던 것 같습니다. Alright, let's jump right into the question. First question for you, Izayaki, is this series was a very one-sided affair. Did you expect this match to end so quickly, or did you sort of think that it was going to be a tougher fight? For the Shanghai Dragons. 첫 번째 질문은 조금 쉬운 질문으로 먼저 시작을 해볼게요. 오늘 경기가 굉장히 빨리 끝이 나고 또 이제 상하이 팀이 굉장히 빠른 승리를 거두시게 되는데 이자키 선수와 상하이 드래곤즈는 이번에 경기를 들어오면서 조금 더 힘든 싸움이 될 거라고 예상을 하셨는지 아니면 정말 오늘 결과처럼 좀 쉽게 이길 거라고 생각을 하셨나요?
이번 토너먼트는 밴이 없이 진행하잖아요. 근데 이제 밴 없이 진행하는 경기에서 아틀란타를 상대하는 건 처음이라서 일단은 상대편이 엄청 좀 수비적으로 플레이하기 때문에 저희도 무척 힘들 거라고 생각했지만 다행히 저희가 잘 공격 해내서 잘 쉽게 풀린 것 같습니다.
Alright, coming to the tournament, we knew that, and everyone knows that there's no hero bans for the Summer Showdown Tournament. So going up against Atlanta Reign, this was our first time fighting them with no hero bans. So we expected it to be a harder fight because they were playing a sort of that defensive, slower tempo play style. So we were expecting it to be a little bit difficult, but thankfully we were able to execute everything correctly. We were able to attack very successfully, and at the end we were able to clutch the win against the Atlanta Reign. Alright, talking about their playstyle, this sort of ties into my second question. Again, this series was, like you said, a clash of style. Shanghai Dragons playing more aggressive, and Atlanta Reign, they're known for their defensive, slow tempo playstyle and composition. How did you guys prepare this match knowing that you guys, haven't really played against a style like Atlanta, that defensive playstyle? I don't think you guys were able to sort of practice against that. So how did you guys prepare for the match today? 두 번째 질문은 방금 이제 말씀하신 이제 아틀란타 팀의 어떻게 보면 조합이나 좀 플레이 스타일을 방금 좀 말씀하셨는데 그거로 좀 더 질문을 해보고 싶습니다. 어떻게 보면은 이제 상하이 팀은 조금 더 공격적인 어떻게 보면 좀 플레이 스타일을 가지고 있고 우리 또 아틀란타 팀은 완전 정반대인 조금 더 수비적인 좀 더 템포가 느린 이런 조합을 많이 사용을 하는데 아무래도 두 팀 다 서로 좀 이런 스타일의 이런 거를 좀 어떻게 보면은 연습이나 아니면 경기에서 많이 만나보지 못했던 플레이 스타일이기 때문에 상하이 팀은 오늘 경기를 위해서 좀 어떻게 준비를 하셨나요?
일단 서로가 어떻게 플레이하는지 잘 모르고 있기 때문에 저희는 일단은 아틀란타 레인이 했던 경기를 복귀하면서 상대가 어떻게 플레이를 하고 상대 약점이 무엇인지 생각을 하면서 그거를 파고든 것 같습니다. 네. 그 약점을 파고들었다고 생각하시면 됩니다.
약점을. 오케이, weakness. 네. 그 약점이 뭔지 다시 한번 설명을 해주실 수 있나요? 죄송합니다. 제가 잘 못 들어가지고.
아니 그냥 뭐 제대로는 말하기는 그냥
말씀 안 하셨구나.
네.
그러니까 약점을 좀 잘 사용을 했다. 네. 알겠습니다. Alright, so going into today's match, both of our teams, well, Atlanta and us, Shanghai Dragons, we both didn't know what we're going to play with, and we didn't really know each other's playstyle that well. So we sort of had to estimate, and we sort of had to guess what Atlanta Reign was sort of planning to do, and sort of find their weakness in the while playing the game, and sort of that's how we went about for the match against the Atlanta Reign. And I added on what the weakness was, and of course that was sort of strategy related. And Izayaki said that he just wants to leave it at the weakness part. Izayaki, again, I apologize for going in a little bit too far. 이자키 선수 방금 그 약점이라고 하시고 제가 조금 더 말해달라고 해서 너무 죄송합니다. 이게 좀 어떻게 보면은 좀 전략적인 건데 죄송합니다. Alright. Last question for you. 자, 이자키 선수 마지막 질문입니다. There's always a debate on which region's comp is better, whether East or West. But as of right now, after watching today's games, it seems like the West cannot really compete against what the East teams are running. Do you believe that the Wrecking Ball comps that the East are currently utilizing are sort of better than what the West is currently playing? 마지막 질문으로는 요즘 이제 그 조합이나 이번 메타에 대한 요즘 사람들이 말이 좀 많은데 쉽게 말해서 요즘 이렇게 아시아 쪽이랑 이제 또 우리 좀 북미 쪽이랑 어느 조합이 조금 더 좋은 조합일까 지금 현 메타에서 이런 말이 많은데 오늘 경기들을 보고 난 후에 좀 생각을 해보면은 지금 북미 쪽 두 팀이 다 아무래도 아시아 쪽한테 이기지를 못했기 때문에 이자키 선수의 개인적인 생각으로는 지금 우리 아시아 쪽에서 많이 쓰는 이 레킹볼 조합이 북미에서 쓰는 이런 플레이 스타일보다 훨씬 더 좋다고 생각을 하시나요?
일단은 첫 번째 제 생각은요. 일단 어떠한 게임이라도 정답은 없다고 생각하고요. 그리고 일단 어떻게 플레이하냐가 제일 중요한 것 같습니다. 그리고 두 번째 생각은 일단은 저희가 쓰는 조합이 상대편 어떠한 조합이 나와도 상대할 수 있기 때문에 네, 저는 일단은 윈스턴이나 뭐 라인 오리사 조합보다는 지금 현재로서 제 생각은 볼 조합이 훨씬 더 좋다고 생각합니다. 그로 인해서 저희가 쓰는 이유이기도 하고요.
Alright, so my first thing that I want to point out is in any game there is no correct answer. Whether how you play it, I think it boils down to how you play the game and how you sort of go in about the game is the most important part. So of course there's no answer, but how you play the game is very important. Second thing, our comp is definitely good against anything that currently the West are using, whether it's Orisa, Winston, or Reinhardt compositions. Sort of the ball composition that the Shanghai Dragons that we are currently using is really good against any of those compositions. So with everything in mind, I truly believe that the Wrecking Ball comp that the East are using is superior to whatever the West is currently running. All right. Before I let you go, one last question. This is a personal question for me, and then I'm gonna let you go, Izayaki. Why are you so good at this game? 자, 마지막 질문을 하면서 이자키 선수와 이자키 선수와 이제 작별을 하도록 하겠습니다. 마지막 질문 알아들으셨죠? 네. 왜 이렇게 잘하시나요?
일단은 제 스스로가 잘한다고 생각한 적은 별로 없다고 말할 수 있고요. 그리고 일단 제가 부족한 부분 엄청 많은 것 같고 좀 더 개선해서 좋은 경기 보여줄 수 있도록 노력하겠습니다. 그리고 더 잘한다는 말을 더 많이 들을 수 있도록 화이팅!
Okay. All right. First of all, I never thought that I was really good at the game. But after hearing that I'm good and everything, there's a lot of things that I need to work on and a lot of things that I lack. But I will try harder to be better and try to sort of fix everything that I am not good at to be better and to sort of work harder to hear more people say that I am a really good Overwatch League player. Alright, Izaki, thank you so much for the interview and good luck tomorrow. 이자키 선수 마지막까지 너무나도 감사드리고 내일 화이팅 하시길 바라겠습니다.
네, 감사합니다. 내일 뵙겠습니다.
Alright, thank you so much. Let's head back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Danny. What an amazing interview with Izayaki there. I love him now. I love Izayaki now.
As you should.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you spent some time with him as well. You would know, Costa. Let's take a look at our Coca-Cola Summer Showdown bracket here in the Watchpoint Post Show presented by IBM. Both APAC teams advancing in today. Don't think we really expected that. Of course, Shanghai Dragons, big favorites coming into the tournament, but Chengdu Hunters with the massive upset against the Dallas Fuel. What a spicy day. I feel like this just set up the weekend for so much good competition, Danny.
I mean, it was really good. It was really good, man. I mean, for the Chengdu one, I think it was a huge upset. I think everyone was, I don't know, if you picked Chengdu, good for you, but I don't think a lot of people did that. Even the Shanghai match, I think this sort of makes me worry. Like, is West really, can they compete against the East, or is this over? No!
Kinda.
No hope?
No, of course not.
No hope?
There's another match tomorrow between the West and East, guaranteed.
Okay.
Yeah, no, West will bring this back.
It is
right,
guaranteed.
guys?
Literally,
right, guys?
It is guaranteed.
Right,
so if that's your hopium, I don't know if it's gonna work. We'll have to see tomorrow how we feel after we've digested all of these games. Let's recap the two games we had today. Of course, starting off with the one we just saw between the Shanghai Dragons and the Atlanta Reign. And coming into this one, Shanghai Dragons, they were the big favorites, obviously the June Joust winners, but the Atlanta Reign, they like to default to their slower Orisa Reinhardt compositions. We thought, you know, Shanghai Dragons would be favored, but this was a beatdown, Costa. I mean, this was just an incredible win by the Shanghai Dragons.
Yeah, we were a little hesitant to be like, oh, can the West compete with the East? And I think today is a prime answer that what the West are doing isn't the answer to what the Eastern region is doing. And unfortunately, the Western region isn't adept at playing this wrecking ball style. They can't mirror it against these teams either because they just don't have as much experience on it. So they're going down swinging, doing what they play. I was kind of disappointed in the Atlanta Reign with, you know, how they tried to go about this. They had no real answer to the Fleta Farah. And even when they did sort of slow the game down like we were hoping, they got picked apart so well by the Shanghai Dragons that it just feels like an impossible feat for the Atlanta Reign to really hold their own and hold that line. So impressive play by the Shanghai Dragons, as dominant as we expected them to be coming into this tournament. But the question for me now is looking toward tomorrow. Can Atlanta Reign start sort of redeeming themselves a little bit more as they go up against Dallas Fuel and sort of at least try and capture a point, or maybe get to face against the Chengdu Hunters if the Shanghai Dragons beat them further on?
Yeah, and I want to comment as well, given the circumstances, of course. I mean, this is the Shanghai Dragons. They've only lost one map so far in the Summer Showdown to the Hangzhou Spark, and they continue that, it's not a streak, but they continue that achievement now as well, getting a 3-0 win against the Atlanta Reign. It can be comforting sometimes as a former pro player, you know this as well, Costa, if you get beat down this early, because it gives you go into tomorrow and you feel like you have nothing to lose, that kind of mentality, and this Dallas Fuel team a bit vulnerable as well. So do you think this will help Atlanta Reign going into tomorrow, perhaps taking a win or a loss like this, perhaps?
I think a loss like this doesn't really get in your head too much if you're the Atlanta Reign. Like, they came up against a composition that they didn't really have an answer to, and that showed in this match. That wasn't them falling apart as a team, it's just strategically they couldn't match up. So I think going up against Dallas Fuel, that's an evil that they know. They know how to play against the Dallas Fuel because they've been playing against the West in that Western region. I think we'll get to see classic styles of both Atlanta and Dallas tomorrow, and I'm excited to see that because they're kind of playing...
What is that?
Yeah,
let me see this.
I was totally relevant in 2016, Johnny. It was. Nah, not really. So, but as I said, these guys are great players. They are the best in the business that we have, and I'm excited for some of the matches tomorrow because I think Dallas and Atlanta Reign both have a lot of redeeming to do after today's performances.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to throw off your point because I do think you make a really good point. Absolutely, and it is crucial now. You know, this is elimination matches going on here in the Summer Showdown Tournament. So Atlanta Reign, you're still in it. You can't lose too much hope already. You can't beat yourself up too much about this loss. You just gotta go again tomorrow against the Dallas Fuel, and that is the Dallas Fuel that actually lost to the Chengdu Hunters earlier today. Dallas Fuel, they still were many people's favorites in this matchup because of how dominant they've looked so far this season. But Danny, I mean, the Chengdu Hunters, they turned up to play, and so many players on the Chengdu Hunters popped off individually. Who was your favorite, really? Just pick one, Danny.
Just pick one? There's so many, though. Like, Monk was good. Monk was so good with those Transcendence. So he sort of forced Doha off of that Sombra in one of the maps. But, I mean, I have to give to Leave. I think all of you agree, too, right? He just... Yeah, Leave. We love you.
It's different.
We love Leave now.
Too good.
In this house, we stand Leave.
Yes. Whiny Leave.
Yeah.
That's Chinese.
No, go on,
I did want to talk about this because this is the first time that I think we've ever seen Dallas Fuel in a playoff match when it all matters lose convincingly. Like, whenever they've fallen so far historically against the Shanghai Dragons in these May Melees and June Jousts, is they've looked very competitive, and it's going down to a nail biter. This match wasn't competitive by no means. This was Dallas Fuel getting completely outplayed. So this is a weakness we haven't really seen from Dallas, and this is exciting not only for the Summer Showdown, but as we go further down into the playoffs of Dallas Fuel are mortal. They are going to be able to be beaten by not just the Shanghai Dragons, but some other teams if they can't get their flexibility. We saw the real weakness of not being able to play a hit scan today from the Dallas Fuel. Is that going to continuously come back to bite them in the ass? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Before we move away from this topic, I do want to get two answers, straightforward answers from both of you. Chengdu Hunters now, they go up against the Shanghai Dragons tomorrow in our upper bracket match. Chengdu Hunters, after seeing them beat the Dallas Fuel here today, Danny. Starting with you, how good are their chances on actually winning the entire Summer Showdown? Has your belief in them increased since you saw Lee on this race and the rest of the team?
I mean, it increased dramatically, but winning the whole thing means, I mean, they'll either have to face Dallas or Atlanta, whoever wins that losers match, and if they lose to the Shanghai Dragons, they'll have to play them again. I don't know. Like, are we talking about like percentage-wise? Like what I think percentage-wise?
Sure. Yeah, percentage-wise. Well, I mean, it's tough, but yeah. Okay, I'm gonna make it easy for you, Danny. Do you believe they can win in Costa's can terms? Is there a possibility?
I mean, yeah, I think there is a possibility. I don't think they have a high possibility, but I think they definitely can.
All right, Costa.
Well, I don't want to answer because I think there's a in that hosting 101 book. There's a asks your professional analyst for their answers so that I can steal them later. Is there a page like that in the book? Because that's what I feel is happening. Johnny?
No, there's not a page like that in the book.
No.
Yeah. Costa, just say it first.
Are you paranoid?
Yes, I can see his face. I can see your face. Johnny has something prepped. You have to do
No,
it.
I don't have anything prepped.
Otherwise, his joke won't work. Otherwise, his joke won't work.
No, it wasn't. There's not a page like this. It was a genuine question. The Chengdu Hunters fans, they're all about themselves now. They're like, hey, we beat the Dallas Fuel. We can take on the world. We can win the entire thing. I'm trying to do my job as a host. There's no page.
This book is preying on my downfall, and I won't have any of it. Okay, I'll tell you guys about my answer tomorrow, so Johnny can't steal my pick'ems.
I'll try to restore.
Wait.
Sorry, go on.
No, I do think we'll have a better idea after we watch tomorrow's game against Chengdu against Shanghai Dragons.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think we'll definitely know.
That's a good call by Danny himself. Let's take a look at our predictions for today. Of course, all the talent, including Zoe, even though she's not here, we all predicted. And the first one didn't quite get that one right, did we? We all make mistakes. At least we can relate to the people, of course, on the YouTube chat now. So, I always enjoy doing that with the fans on YouTube. Taking a look at the talent predictions leaderboard. Well, Costa is still on top. Zoe, of course, second. One prediction ahead of me and Danny, who are tied for third. Danny, we can still claw back. Like, we can still do this.
Yeah. No,
yes.
we can do it.
I'm sure you can.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's one more stage to go. We got matches this weekend as well. You never know what's going to happen. Dallas Fuel lost today, so we can still do it, Danny. Don't be upset.
I believe. No, I'm not upset. Absolutely. I'm not upset. No, I'm never upset. What are you guys talking about? I'm never upset. Never.
All right. Well, Danny's gonna calm down in a quick little break here. But after this break, of course, we got more Overwatch to recap for you. Some moments to show you. Stay tuned. We got more of the Watchpoint Post Show presented by IBM coming up right after this.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back to the Watchpoint Post Show presented by IBM. We're back here to recap all the amazing Overwatch that just happened this evening, this day, this morning, wherever you are in the world. There was Overwatch taking place, and we loved it. Especially the second map of Volskaya Industries between the Dallas Fuel and the Chengdu Hunters. They did indeed make it work. Leave. What an incredible performance by him. They ended up beating Dallas Fuel's 10-0 record on Volskaya Industries so far this season. Leave, he tied for most final blows on Volskaya all time, tied with Yaki from the Florida Mayhem, and they got the dub. Costa, we did not expect this at all. I mean, what an absolutely insane performance by the Chengdu Hunters here.
It looked like the Hunters were going to lose this as well. The Dallas Fuel finished with, is that 3 minutes and 41 seconds left on the back, and we're like, oh, Chengdu's going home, Dallas Fuel's just too strong. This was the turning point of this series when Chengdu came back in cap, got 4 points in overtime, and it just, Leave was remarkable. His ability to just get so much done time after time, and then Monk's transcendences, he literally forced Doa to switch off of the Sombra because he just couldn't EMP him. Monk was like playing 10D chess with Doa's EMPs, and Doa couldn't get anything done. So really crazy performance from the Chengdu Hunters, and it all came off the back of Leave on that Volskaya.
That's making it work by indeed. Love that map. Yeah, it was so much fun to follow. And that's when you knew the tides were really shifting in the match as well. You were like, you know, quaking in your boots, like, oh my God, is it actually going to happen? Are we going to the Chengdu zone? But there were so many great moments beside that one as well. Obviously, we had 2 elimination matches here today, so we all got some favorite moments. Let me kick it off with my best of the day here from this day of matches. There was one player on the Chengdu Hunters that we haven't really called out enough for his amazing performance, and it's Ubeltop. His Mercy on King's Row was just mind-blowingly good. He was so efficient with his healing, you know, perfect Valkyries, but then this to add on top of it. I mean, pull out the pistol, making some work, fighting the Dallas Fuel DPS players. This is some shades of Costa right here. I love the Ubeltop. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, this is what we love to see. Some battle mercy. You know, everyone always disrespects us until we press Q, and then we're the moth that is unkillable, that is just attracted to low DPS players. And you love to see it from Yveltal really popping off right there on the mercy. We don't really see it as much. Like, we saw it so much in 2018 when I was relevant, but we haven't really seen that as much because, you know, not as much mercy, not as strong of a moth. So love to see it from Yveltal.
Yeah, that was my best of the day. But of course, I wanted to see Costa's reaction too, because I mean, I know that those kind of highlights just like puts a smile on that face, and I love when Costa smiles.
Feel giddy. Look at him. He's so happy. He's so happy.
You love to see it. I know what it's like. Danny, what's your best of the day from
my best of the day? You know, we talked about Yveltal, we talked about Leave. I mean, Costa, and I sort of mentioned it, but my best of the day is, of course, Monk, and his transcendence against Doa's EMP on Volskaya that we just saw. It was actually on the first point. It's right there. So I think this was, I believe Monk just heard the EMP. I don't know how he knew, but as soon as he's heard EMP like going off, I think he just transcended right away, and then he saved the whole team. And just his hearing must be just on a different level. Or did he see?
His senses were tingling. You know, he can feel a Sombra nearby, and he's like, transcendence, and then he just did it.
I gotta go and do it! And he did it. Perfect timing. Saves everybody. Gets the win. I'm just amazing.
No, real talk. How does he know Costa? Does he just like, does he hear a sound, or is he just like in the Matrix?
He could see him at the corner of like the right side of his screen. He could have also heard him. It could have just been like you hear a Sombra, like uncloak, and then you just panic and press Q. Who knows? But he's just built differently. He actually saved that fight. He did it so much, as I said, that Doa was just like, I'm going to go Echo. I can't EMP the Zenyatta, and if I can't do that, I'm not playing Sombra. So, impressive play from Monk. I think we're on to my best of the day, right? So, I'm going to... when your back's against the wall and you're a support, sometimes you're like, you know what? I need to do it myself. And I think Masar really embodies that. Going up against a Pharah as a Brig is a noble effort. And I really respect what he tried to do here. Really cool tech. Ill-advised, but look at this. Look at this. He's just like, parkour! And then he like jumps off of the cart, goes up swinging. It's like, I'll show you to shoot rockets at me. Unfortunately, he just gets shot at from the rockets from Fleta and dies miserably. But I respect the hustle here from Masar.
Oh my God, this moment is so... it's so helpless.
Like even in slow-mo, it's like Flair's just like shooting rockets and he gets hit. He's like, oh, what is that? Oh, brig, shoot, die, bye. Okay.
It's like a fly. He's getting swatted at by a fly, and he's like, stop that, and just whacks him back down.
Flair's like, is this the best North America I could come up with? Is this your answer? A flailing break to Farah. These guys, they're too much, man. I love that. No, that's so funny. Maybe we'll talk about buffing break because we need some more Swedish heroes in the meta. That's all I'm saying. We got more. No, he's not really meta. I know Jinwoo swapped to him, but you know, come on. No,
it kind of worked.
Oh, all right. We'll discuss it behind the scenes. We'll discuss it behind the scenes, guys. Don't get ahead of yourselves. I know we're talking about buffing break here. Let's take a look at the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown bracket for the rest of this weekend. Tomorrow we have 3 matches. 3 amazing elimination matches, or well, 2 of them actually. First of all, we got the Chengdu Hunters taking on the Shanghai Dragons in the upper bracket final. The winners take on each other to see who will make it to the Summer Showdown finals themselves on Saturday. Then, of course, we got the elimination match between the Atlanta Reign and the Dallas Fuel. And then the winner of that match takes on the loser of Chengdu Hunters and Shanghai Dragons. So 3 amazing matches coming up. Taking a look at that bottom one, Atlanta Reign versus the Dallas Fuel. We haven't really discussed this one or the teams. Starting out with you, Costa. How do you feel about the stylistic matchup here? Dallas Fuel, they played a lot of Winston Moira, rushing that way. Atlanta Reign, they played slower. Who do you think comes out on top here?
It's going to be interesting because we haven't seen these 2 teams play so far in the Summer Showdown, I don't believe. And we saw in the graphic that I think you highlighted today, Johnny, of Dallas Fuel have played a lot of Reinhardt and Winston, while Atlanta has shied away from that Winston style. So I'm excited to see what both teams are going to play because I assume they've both been preparing for this Wrecking Ball, Zenyatta, Farah style. So are they going to be prepared for each other at this point? I don't really know. So it's going to be a brawl. We're going to go back to what we know and love. Don't worry, we won't see any more Farahs tomorrow. Audience, we're used to seeing the Reinhardt, the Symmetra. She'll come back tomorrow, so it'll be nice.
Danny, I respect your opinion here on this matter. Who is a player to look out for in the Dallas Fuel versus Shanghai Dragons? Or not Shanghai Dragons. Dallas Fuel versus Atlanta Reign matchup. Who are you keeping your eyes on? Okay, I trust your opinion on this. Give it to me.
Pelican?
Pelican, yeah. Pelican Torb!
Ooh.
That's
the
spicy.
Torb guy strikes again.
The Torb guy. Danny,
oh, man.
the Torb guy.
I should have saved this for tomorrow.
Dang it. You can do it tomorrow. You can
just
do it tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Danny. It's fine.
Yeah, we got a Watchpoint pre-show coming your way tomorrow as well. But for now, we're going to take a bit of a break. I mean, it's been an amazing day of Overwatch, but we can only talk about the same thing over and over again for so long. So
great job, Johnny.
Good job, Johnny.
Johnny, it's really a great job.
Thank you.
All right, say goodbye. Say goodbye.
I need to say goodbye. They're zoomed out.
Goodbye.
I can't show my book anymore. I'm tired of this. I'm going home. See you all for the Watchpoint pre-show tomorrow. It's gonna be fun. See you then.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.